Hey there, Cinemaster fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. The story begins with a girl named Lucy, who is a reckless person living life to the fullest. She resides in Taiwan and is seen standing with her boyfriend Richard in front of a hotel entrance. He tries to convince her to take the suitcase he's holding and deliver it to someone named Mr. Kang. He tells her she just needs to go to the reception, ask for him, and he will come down to collect the suitcase. Simple as that. She asks him what's in the suitcase, and he says he doesn't know. He's just delivering it. She then asks if he's being paid for this delivery, to which he replies that he's getting $1,000 and offers to split it with her. However, she refuses and decides to leave. Richard then handcuffs the suitcase to her wrist, forcing her into the situation. She tries to resist and asks him to unlock it, but he refuses, saying the key is with Mr. Kang. He gives her $500 as her share and tells her not to take too long. He waits outside while she enters the hotel with the suitcase, heads to the reception, and asks for Mr. Kang. When asked who she is, she says she's sent by Richard, who is indeed waiting outside. The receptionist asks for her name, and she says, Lucy. He informs her that Mr. Kang is on his way down and asks her to wait. Lucy starts to feel uneasy, and soon Mr. Kang's men arrive. She looks outside at Richard, but he is killed right in front of her eyes. She panics as they take her with them. They drag her into an elevator and she's terrified, almost fainting from fear. They carry her to Mr. Kang's private suite where she sees dead bodies lying on the floor. Realizing her day is about to get much worse, they sit her down and surround her. Mr. Kang appears, seemingly having just held an execution party. He gestures at her while she desperately pleads with him to take the suitcase and let her go. She even suggests breaking the lock if he can't find the key, begging him not to harm her. They sit her down in front of him, and he makes a call to a translator to communicate with her. Through the translator, she explains that she knows nothing, and that Richard, who is now dead, had chained the suitcase to her and asked her to deliver it. Mr. Kang, through the translator, wants to know what's inside the suitcase. Lucy insists she has no idea. Kang writes the suitcase's code on a piece of paper and steps back, along with his men, leaving her alone with the suitcase. They point weapons at her to ensure she follows through. Terrified, Lucy enters the code and opens the suitcase, only to find 4 bags of blue powder inside. Mr. Kang inspects the contents and seems satisfied. He calls one of his men, who takes a small amount of the powder and gives it to a test man. The substance has an immediate and intense effect on the subject, causing him to laugh hysterically before Mr. Kang, annoyed by the noise, kills him. Lucy begins to regret ever being born as they knock her unconscious. When she wakes up, she finds herself on an operating table. She later learns that Mr. Kang's men have surgically placed one of the blue powder bags inside her abdomen. One of his men explains that the substance is a new drug, and she is to transport it. She is given a new identity and passport, along with instructions for her journey. Lucy, still disoriented and terrified, is taken to a location where she is restrained until her flight. While waiting, one of the guards attempts to assault her. She resists, injuring his hand, but he retaliates by kicking her in the stomach. The impact causes the drug bag inside her to rupture, releasing the substance into her bloodstream. The drug begins to affect her body in extraordinary ways, enhancing her brain activity to 20%, as discussed earlier by Professor Samuel in a lecture about the untapped potential of the human brain. Lucy starts to develop superhuman abilities, controlling her body and surroundings in ways that defy gravity. As her brain activity increases, she gains control over her body at a cellular level and starts to manipulate the environment around her. She escapes her captors, killing them with remarkable speed and precision. Her transformation continues as she becomes more powerful and detached from her humanity, setting the stage for her next steps in this extraordinary journey. She takes their weapons and puts them in a bag. She leaves the place. She finds 2 people standing next to a taxi. She asks who speaks English. If one doesn't know, she kills him. She asks the one who speaks to take her to a hospital. She gets in with him. They stop at a traffic light. She looks at the people. She hears what's being said on the other end of the phones in the hands of the people in front of her. They arrive at the hospital. She gets out of the car and goes in. She looks at a sign and translates it. She wants to go to the operating room. She holds a gun in her hand. She enters the operating room. She looks at the scans and tests of the patient undergoing surgery. The doctor asks her to leave immediately, but she raises her gun and kills the patient. She throws him to the ground and tells the doctor he wouldn't have been able to save him anyway, because the brain tumor had reached the spinal cord, meaning he was already dead. She explains that someone had placed a drug pouch in his stomach and she needs it removed. The doctor says he will at least apply a local anesthetic. She tells him not to bother. He asks her to lower her gun so he can examine her. She takes his phone and calls his mother to reassure her about him. She talks to him, saying she can feel everything, even the rotation of the earth. She feels the blood running through her veins. Even her memory recalls the smallest details, like the taste of the milk she was fed as a baby. Of course, the doctor's mother has no response to anything she says. The doctor removes the drug pouch from her stomach, which still contains more than half of its content. He identifies the substance and tells her that a pregnant woman's body secretes it in very small amounts during the 6th month of pregnancy to give the fetus immense energy for bone formation. But this is the first time he's heard of it being synthesized. He tells her that if her body absorbed the same substance, it's surprising she's still alive. She leaves the hospital, looks at a tree in front of her, and sees all the living cells in the tree's body and roots. Meanwhile, Kang the boss is relaxing. She arrives at the hotel and goes upstairs. She kills those in her way. She even kills his men behind a closed door. She enters Kang's room, where he is unaware of what's happening. She pulls out 2 daggers and pins his hands to the chair he's sitting on. She asks him about the other 3 carrying the drug in their stomachs, telling him she desperately needs it. When he doesn't speak, she grabs his head. She accesses the memory part of his brain. She sees that one is headed to Berlin, another to Paris, and the third to Rome. She lets go of his head and thanks him for his cooperation. She leaves him unconscious and goes away. She goes to her friend, whom she used to live with. When she arrives, she feels everything in her body. She uses her friend's laptop to search online for anything that explains what's happening. She finds Professor Samuel and calls him, introducing herself and telling him she has read all his research on the human brain. She tells him she needs to meet him. At first, he thinks she's joking and doesn't believe she's read all his research. She surprises him with the number of pages containing all his studies. Not only that, she appears on the TV screen in front of him. She tells him that the cells in her body are breaking down by the millions every second. She says she might die in 24 hours. She explains the story of the drug her body absorbed, which allowed her to reach 30% of her brain's capacity, and that she might reach 100% in a few hours. When she researched, she found that he was the most accurate in his theories about brain capacity. Professor Samuel is left speechless, telling her he has been studying this hypothesis for over 20 years, but has never encountered it in real life. He asks her what else she can do. She says she can control bodies remotely and manipulate magnetic and electronic waves like TVs, the internet, phones, and radios. Samuel is amazed by everything happening. She tells him she now has an overwhelming amount of knowledge about everything, including physics, mathematics, medicine, and all sciences. In the end, he tells her that God's wisdom in his creations is about passing knowledge from one generation to the next. When she asks him what she should do with all she knows, he advises her to pass it on to those who come after her. She tells him she'll meet him in 12 hours and ends the call. She prints a paper for her friend, advising her that her liver and kidneys are sluggish. If she follows the printed instructions and stays away from alcohol and such, her health will improve. She leaves her and goes away. She talks about all the news. She storms the hospital and admits to killing Maria. She is actually at the airport to meet Samuel. She changes her appearance so no one will recognize her. She calls the police in Paris and speaks with Pierre Rieu, who dismisses her. She tells him his name and that he has a safe on his desk. He sits down and picks up the red pen beside him to write down what she says. He suspects there are cameras in his office. She tells him to hurry because she doesn't have time to waste on him. He sits at his desk and asks her to say what she wants. She tells him she will send details about 3 individuals, each carrying a kilogram of drugs in their stomachs. She asks him to arrest them because she will need the drugs when she arrives. While speaking with him, a security dog approaches her at the airport. Media, a security dog approaches her at the airport but retreats when she looks at it. She sends him the details and ends the call. She ensures a notice is issued across European airports, and they are arrested one by one. Kang's men see what's happening. The third person tries to act tough and escape, but is caught amidst the chaos. She boards a plane heading to Paris. No one knows what she's doing with the devices in front of her, whether she's gathering more information or sabotaging them. Her brain capacity reaches 40%. When she tries to drink from her glass, her teeth fall out, and most of her body disintegrates into dust. The flight crew sees what's happening. She rushes to the bathroom, where she sees herself in the mirror. She takes the drug and tries to consume it to return to normal, but her condition worsens. She arrives at the hospital where she was taken and asks about her condition. The doctor says she is stable but was given a sedative to last the day. Of course, his words are meaningless because she wakes up, and her brain capacity reaches 50%. She gets up and looks to see who's outside the room. She finds herself tied to the bed. The nurse goes to inform the doctor that she's awake. He thinks she's joking. They rush to find her out of her room. Pierre pulls out his gun and tells her not to move. The security present also draws their weapons. She says she wants to talk to him privately and raises her hands. Suddenly, everyone present loses consciousness. She approaches Pierre, who is still standing but unable to control his gun, which empties all its bullets. She asks him if he caught the ones she reported. He lowers his gun and says, "Yes," she responds. "All right, let's go." Security takes the men back to the hospital to extract the powder from them. Kang's men are also present. She makes a call and identifies all communication networks works, pinpointing a call in an Asian language. Pierre senses she's summoning spirits. She transfers the call to the car radio and hears Kang instructing his men to gather at the hospital. She tells Pierre that she wants to drive. He says it's not possible because the car is company property. Suddenly, he finds himself in the passenger seat and agrees. He realizes the brakes are manual. Meanwhile, Kang's men enter the examination room to investigate the drugs in their stomachs. Kang's men arrive, enter, and kill all the police officers present. Lucy drives recklessly to arrive in time, not caring who crashes into whom or who flips over. She reaches the hospital as Kang's men perform the operation themselves, extracting the first bag. One of them gets scared, so they shoot him casually. The third man says he's fine and asks if they want to do it without anesthesia. Lucy arrives at the hospital as they extract the bag from the man they killed. A police officer enters, and they shoot him, but he manages to kill one of them. Chaos ensues due to the gunfire. The victim tries to escape but is shot and killed, crawling on the ground. Lucy stops him. Kang's men stand before her, weapons drawn. She calmly asks for the bag. He laughs and orders his men to kill her and extract the bag from her too. Lucy reaches 60% of her capacity and creates a gravitational barrier around herself. She pulls all the men's weapons to the ceiling and approaches them. She eliminates them one by one, and no one can come near her. She takes the bag from the victim quietly. Kang's men are paralyzed, unable to move. She returns to Pierre, gives him the bag, and asks him to open it. She removes the bag from the victim's stomach and places it in the bag, which she seals. She leaves the hospital, gets in the car, and Pierre follows her, asking where she's going. The GPS silently guides him. Kang arrives and sees Lucy in a short car, instructing his driver to follow her. Lucy reaches Professor Samuel and introduces herself to his colleagues, claiming to know them all. They are surprised by her words. Samuel introduces Lucy, explaining that she has somehow freed her mind and gained the ability to control objects. One of them skeptically asks for an example. She places her hand on his shoulder and reveals his full name, that he has a daughter named Gabrielle, who died in an accident at age 6, and even describes the car involved in the accident. Everyone is astonished. Kang's men wait outside the academy, and his assistant tells him they miraculously escaped the police. Kang asks how many men he has, and the assistant replies, 20. Lucy realizes they are coming. She tells Pierre to secure the location as much as possible. Reinforcements arrive, but Kang's men prepare themselves. Lucy sits and explains that she can now control every cell in her body and reshape them as she wishes. She emphasizes that the most important thing proving existence is time. She gives them an example of a car moving in the same place, but if its speed is multiplied many times, it will disappear, leaving no evidence of its existence or зрение, оставляя не следов существования, кроме через время. Kang and his men storm the academy and start a massacre. Doctors panic from the gunfire. Kang orders his men to search the building piece by piece until they find her. The doctors inject Lucy with a solution containing the substance. She tells them she might not survive the experiment, but will find a way to pass on all the information she acquires. Meanwhile, Pierre's police officers secure her location. The powder enters her body, and they document the process with a video camera. Outside, Pierre's men clash with Kang's men, and the battle begins. Pierre is injured, and Lucy's condition worsens as she reaches 70%. Her skin starts to change, and strange things resembling tree roots emerge from her. Samuel realizes she's connecting herself to the computer. The battle outside continues, and Lucy gains control over all the devices present, reaching 80%. She transports them to another location and creates a special computer. Her abilities surpass 90%, but one of Kang's men fires a missile that explodes in the area. Lucy finds herself in front of the Eiffel Tower, traveling from place to place and time to time. She witnesses the evolution of our planet and its creatures, even reaching the era of dinosaurs. She reaches 99%, and Kang approaches her with a gun. Every cell in her body merges into one and disappears when she reaches 100%. Kang's bullet hits nothing. He threatens the doctors with his weapon, demanding to know where she went. Pierre arrives just in time and kills Kang. The computer Lucy created produces a large flash drive. When Samuel takes it, he turns to dust and disappears. Pierre asks about her, but no one responds. He receives a message on his phone from her saying, "I'm everywhere." If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos. See you next time.